Hello there, everyone, God and Gigs community. Thank you so much for joining me on another Friday where I get to do a creative checkup with you to talk about things that will help you to build a better life from the inside out. My name is Alan C. Paul, as you can see here from the little dialogue at the bottom. And my job here at God and Gigs is to help you to connect your spiritual life with your creative life. We do that through our podcast. We do that through this forum here, whether you're watching us on YouTube or on Facebook. Hope you'll connect with us, follow, subscribe, and all that good thing. Because if you are a faith-focused creative that wants to build a better life from the inside out, you're among friends. And what I'd like to do today is talk to you about how to grow your audience the right way and whether or not growing is always good. Because I think there's a lot of pressure on us as creatives. So many of us deal with the pressure to grow, to get more followers, to get more likes, and then to get more people listening, to get more people following and buying our stuff, and basically building this platform. And I have to ask you the question before we talk about how to grow. The question is whether you should grow and if it's always a good thing to grow, or if it gets to be a little bit about greed and feeling like you have to grow, you have to be big, you have to have more people, and it becomes comparison and a battle to be the greatest. And we all know in spiritual sense, my Snoopy thing fell down here. I feel very weird because should be standing up. There you go. Now Snoopy's happy. All right, now I don't know. That's one of my favorite little things right there. My daughter gave me that so long ago. So I want to talk to my community today. You guys that are watching, whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, make sure you comment. Make sure you tell me if you're watching. Even if you're watching on replay, go ahead and put replay in the comments, because I know some of you cannot join us via live at 2 o'clock. I'm coming on a little late because I had a little issue with the camera, and it's like, you know what, the webcam will be fine. I know it looks a little weirder, and maybe you can catch more of the grays now because I'm coming through on my webcam on my laptop. But as long as you can hear me and see me, that's all that matters. So let me jump right into those of you who are watching right now and tell you why I believe audience growth is not always greedy. Now, maybe I should start with the negative. There is an element of greed that can enter into our creative lives, our platform building, trying to reach people, and doing it for the reason that doesn't really present a godly or a spiritual mandate. It can be simply an ego trip for many of us if we're not careful. If we're not careful, just being big, getting more people to listen, getting more people to follow us is all about our ego. We want to feel better. We want to be validated. We feel like if people are following us or listening, that it gives us more, purpose. It gives us more of a platform to say what we want to say, do what we want to do. It's like people following us give us permission to be whoever we are, although that's not and should never be the core and the focus of our identity as creatives, as Christians, as believers, as people who are given this gift to create. Although we are always trying to reach our audience and always trying to not to connect with people, we should not be trying to achieve our value or our identity from those connections. There's a very, very thin line there between working for validation and working from validation. I definitely borrowed that from, I believe, I got to remember where it was. I do think it was at one of the conferences I went to, and I want to give the guy credit, but I'm not sure if I can remember his name right now. I have to look for my notes. But working from validation means you already feel validated. You already know you have a right to speak. You already have something to say. You have something God placed on your heart to either share, create, perform. And your validation does not come from who watches, how many people are watching, whether you got a million people on your line or 10 or 1,000 or whatever. The numbers do not equate to your validation and your desire to be seen. It's because you know you have a purpose to that. However, if you are now doing this out of a sense of for validation, if you want to be validated and you feel like the only way you're validated is if you grow your audience and more people are listening, more people are following, I can be very transparent even now my lives, if I was thinking only about, numbers, then my only goal would be to have 1,000 people on this feed at the same time, and that would be my goal. And once 1,000 people are there, then I would feel like, okay, I'm achieving my goal. People are listening. People are, following my advice, and now I have this validation of numbers and audience growth. And the problem with that is, of course, you can probably guess. When the people go, the validation goes. If you live by validation, you'll die by validation. And I want to make sure that you and the rest of us in our community are never slaves or beholden to this idea that you have to be growing just to validate yourself. Now, there's a difference between growing to be, try to find validation, and a desire to grow to reach the people that you're called to reach. And so that's why I really want to make sure that I uh, divide that clearly, that it is not greedy to want to grow. It's only greedy if you are trying to grow simply for your own motives, your own desires, not to either bless God, bless the people, or to follow purpose. Okay. Any of those three things. If you are watching right now, by the way, you want to chat, let me know that you're watching. Go ahead and hit that comment, and I'll be able to see you. If you're at a creative community, you'll have to make sure that either you get permission through the chat restream link in the creative community. I put it at the top. Or, well, yeah, you got to do that. There's no other way to do that. You got to give Facebook permission to show your name. But I want to make sure I get everybody that's watching. If you're watching, I want to make sure that I include you in the conversation. So if you're watching live, of course, if you're watching on replay, then make sure that you let me know that you're watching via replay. So validation is a really bad taskmaster, but there is another way that you can make sure you're growing or desire to grow from the right place. And I just mentioned it. One is obviously from your purpose and your desire to achieve all that God has put in your heart to do as a creative. Well, clearly that would involve reaching people that he's called you to reach and reaching more people. And there's a clear mandate on creatives to actually step forward and to grow and to increase and to multiply on our gifts and our talents. It is not just to sit and put our light under a bushel. We're told that we should let our light shine before men, that we should let men see our good works. And one thing I really love about this, I have to look up the Bible verse right now to actually make sure I nail this down. But at least in another place in the Bible, good works is also mentioned as craftsmanship or artistic work. So it's not just good works like feeding the poor. It's not just good works like, clothing the hungry, going to jails. It's not the altruistic work we usually think of, volunteer work, church work. When he says good works in the Bible in Ephesians, he's talking about any kind of work that is good and done well and done to the glory of God and done at an excellent level. So you can see how doing good works, good work, artwork, can absolutely be a purpose that you need to follow, and that you are supposed to shine and find those avenues to show it to more people, people who will be blessed by it, people who will be entertained, inspired, and educated. That is a great reason to go ahead and grow your audience. It is not selfish or greedy to say, hey, I need to multiply, I need to grow, I need to increase my desire, increase my platform so I can reach more people, because what I have to give is designed to be seen and to be shared and to bless. And I don't want it to be just one person. I don't want to be that one talent person that Jesus talks about in the parable of the talents, where he hides his gift, buries it, and then says later, hey, I was scared. Here's all I got. I buried it. Here's exactly what you gave me, instead of trying to multiply it. And by the way, let me just mention that if you're watching, by the way, let me know if you think about that. If you think that's a good analogy, if you have had that issue where you feel like, wait, should I grow? Do I feel selfish? I think I hope it's not just me that has this issue sometimes of feeling like trying to get more people to watch me, trying to get more people to listen, trying to get more follows kind of rubs me the wrong way. It feels kind of selfish. I saw a great quote question from Trent Phillips on his. I actually posted it to God and Gigs he asked the same question, but in a different way about whether we downplay our successes sometimes out of this sense of unworthiness or that we're being prideful. And I know I'm not the only person that felt that. And really, it brought a whole bunch of responses because I think that creators, especially those of us who are in the faith, we have a struggle with that pride versus humility, trying to increase versus feeling like we're trying to, blow ourselves up, like I mentioned earlier, trying to get validation from growing our audience. So if you're catching this right now, if you're watching later, I talked about the beginning, trying not to create or grow your audience for validation, but doing it from validation, not trying to do it for worthiness, but creating and growing your audience from worthiness. Okay, Tobias, great to see you, man. I wasn't sure that was who that was. I saw the number, but I didn't know who it was. So great to see you, man. So yeah, that's key. I know you saw that post too by Trent, and that's really was partly what kind of inspired this creative checkup, because I feel like growing our audience and trying to reach people and trying to grow is always going to be a two-way street. You want to do it for the right reasons. We don't want to grow and get people just to kind of like make ourselves feel better. It's not about trying to compare yourself to other people. But I do think there is a biblical and a spiritual, like, permission to say, hey, I should want to grow. I should want to have more people listening, following, not because I get something out of it, but because they get something out of it. Because each time I kind of put myself out there, I go ahead and push myself to send that email, to call that person that has that track, or try to get a little bit more of a connection with this particular group or this particular thing. It's like, okay, I'm networking, I'm working hard. Is it all just for me? Well, yeah, I do get something out of it, but I'm not doing this for the purpose of simply making myself feel better. I'm doing it because I've been given a purpose and a mandate to grow, and that includes growing my audience. That includes growing in every way, shape, or form that I can as a creative, and that does include reaching more people. So that was the first thing I mentioned, for purpose. And then that really kind of ties right into, if you're growing your platform for the right reason, you also do have a reason to want to have that kind of connection with your audience that is personable. I mentioned this in the podcast yesterday. It's not just that you want to grow in a greedy way and just get people and get a whole bunch of people. The reason why you want to grow is because you want to connect with people, with real people. And while your audience could grow to the point where you can't connect directly with individuals, you got to remember that the whole point of growing is that each new person is an individual, somebody that really like takes time out of their day, that decides to, buy your thing, that decides to like connect with you. That's a real human being on the other side of that tweet. There's a real human being on the other side of that email. It's a real human being on the other side of the radio. And every time that you decide, hey, I'm going to grow, you're giving yourself that permission to say, hey, I want to connect with another real human being that needs to hear what I have to share, that God's going to either bless or get encouraged or inspire or get educated by what I share. If you don't grow, if you don't ever try to reach those new people, the Bible talks about that all the time, about like go therefore in all the world, talking about evangelism, right? It's pretty easy to say it when you're talking about evangelizing, because it's like, yeah, we're all Christians, we should be evangelizing. But I wonder if we don't forget that we also have that mandate to go and find the one lost sheep or the one lost listener or the one lost, whatever you want to call it, that may feel alone. And our creative connection is the thing that will bring them in. So maybe we should be thinking, like my book says in chapter 7, the last chapter actually is a seventh step, but it's a 10th chapter, to evangelize through your gift. Maybe you should be looking at your gifting and your talent and growing your audience as a way of evangelizing, not just to eventually tell them about God, but also you're bringing them into the fold of the creative life that you have created for them, the tribe that you created for them, the music and the mood and the creative space that you made a space for them and a place for them, and you've created it. But you got to go out and find those people because they are out there, but you haven't found them yet. And they're kind of wandering like, oh gosh, I wish I knew where to find this particular thing. And you got it, but you don't want to grow because you feel like you're being greedy. I got to try to correct that mindset. Like we said at the beginning, if it's validation that you're seeking for, that's greedy. That's more of a selfish motive. But if you're trying to share and to serve other people with your creative work, that's selfless. Usually it means that we got to step out of ourselves and do something for somebody else, and that's harder to do. If this is making sense and you're watching this even on the replay, give me a one, say yes, that's me, yes, I get it, yes, thank you. Something that lets me know that this is touching the right place, because I feel honestly it's really tough for me to even share it without feeling like, wait, am I just preaching to myself? Am I the only one that feels like I have to like step out of my comfort zone to reach people? Thanks, Tobias. I appreciate that. So yeah, that's where I'm talking about. Like just reaching one person, one new person is growth. And let me quickly say this because this kind of leads into something else. Is it okay to grow slow? Yes. Like if I only reach one person today, tomorrow, the next day, may seem like it's slow. My Instagram's not growing. I feel like my career's not growing. I'm not getting more downloads. I'm not really like, it's not exponential growth. It's just really slow growth. But first thing first, like, the Bible talks about that, not to despise small beginnings. Okay, so that's number one, that God will give you a little bit to be faithful over before he gives you much. But then the second side of that is realizing that when you grow slow, usually that also is a more solid foundation to start up. When people blow up overnight, usually you find out, well, they didn't really blow up overnight. They've been slowly building over time. And then they have this huge layer of foundational work and strength that they can build on. So when they blow up, it's really not a big deal at all because they've been working hard on the ground level for so long, one connection at a time, growing one person at a time, to the point that they are used to it, that they're used to the grind, they're used to the hard work. And so whenever everything blows up, there's no extra, maybe more work in terms of the level, but I don't believe that they have to suddenly change their mentality to how they do things because they've been disciplined in working to that one person, growing one person at a time for the long haul. And that consistency is what can help you as you grow slow. Don't think you have to grow overnight like these TikTok videos and viral things where everybody seems to blow up overnight, because I could tell you that if they have not developed the discipline, they're not going to stay in that place of influence for long, and they will not be able to sustain it. That's just facts. I mean, I don't have a lot of, details to kind of give on that. I just know that for a fact. As a matter of fact, I think Ulysses Tobias, you remember we talked about Ulysses Owens, your friend from Jacksonville, amazing, amazing drummer. He shared that even on our podcast, episode 126, I think. Talked about that, about how, people go on TikTok, but he wants to see what they're doing in 5 years. If they're still doing this in 5 years, then we'll talk. But if these kids or these people who are gone viral are not doing it later, it's because they didn't really have that foundation, that solid rock, that God talks about building that foundation of a rock. Again, it equates spiritually and it equates creatively. Like we've got to have more than just the surface level kind of commitment. So that's kind of like my encouragement to everybody who's watching both here now and on the replay, that don't think that growing your audience is greedy unless you're doing it just to satisfy yourself. Unless you're doing it because you saw somebody else had all this stuff and you want to have it too, and you want to, like, I don't want to be the odd man out, so I'm going to do exactly. You got to grow for the reasons that you want to grow. You got to grow for the reasons that God gave you to grow, not to compare or contrast or to try to be someone that you're not. You got to grow for the right reasons. But then if you grow for the right reasons, that's a godly sense of, I'm growing out of purpose. I'm growing to connect with people. I'm not growing just to do it, but I'm growing because I see something on the horizon and more people need it. And I got to grow internally. Really, you can't grow your audience until you grow internally, until you're big enough to handle. My pastor said something very, 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 very profound the other day. He said, I can lead 1,000, but I can only carry one. And that's an amazing thought right there, because you can't carry all the people that are following you. You can only carry one. That's you. You can carry yourself, you can carry the burdens that you have, but you can't carry all these burdens of all the people that are following you. You can't be their savior, you can't be their favorite all the time. People are going to not like you. You got to figure out that leading and being a person in front sometimes is very lonely. So don't ever think you get your validation from those people, because those people could be here today and gone tomorrow. But if you're actually connecting for the right reason, you're growing because you know God can multiply and bring people to you, and then you have that tribe, and the tribe grows, and more people talk about you here and there, and those really are personable and real valuable connections that aren't just like flippant, and they're not just, oh, I just need to get more people, so I'm just going to write a whole bunch of people down on the list and say these are my friends like Facebook does. No, you grow real connections, real relationships, and that becomes the core of your audience, which grows over time, kind of like a spiral building on itself, but never leaving the core of who you are. So I hope that's been very helpful. And by the way, since I'm talking about growing your audience, I got to mention this because this is coming up. What is it? Today is the 27th. So if you're watching this either on the replay or right now, I want to mention the challenge that's coming up from our friends at ConvertKit, which I am a affiliate. They're doing a Grow Your Audience challenge. And here's what's cool about this challenge. So Tobias, if you're checking this out, you might want to check this out because this is going to be cool for someone like you who already has a lot of connections, but maybe you haven't tried this part. Growing your email list and growing your connection with people through email. ConvertKit is teaching you how to do that, and they're doing it with prizes and bonuses throughout the month of September. It's called the Grow Your Audience Challenge, and there are benchmarks and milestones which you can use, and they have a free service that you can use to build up your email list. And then if you hit certain marks as you grow your audience, you get to get prizes and cash bonuses as you go through this challenge. So yeah, there's no coincidence that, I was already talking about growing audiences. I was always talking about being personable. And then I saw, ConvertKit is doing this too. And ConvertKit, by the way, has bought a whole section. What is it called? Not Bandzoogle. It was a music website. I can't remember the name of it. Dang, I want to remember it. Anyway, point is, ConvertKit actually absorbed a whole music site. So they are so dedicated now to helping musicians and creatives. That's been my main reason why I've been rocking with ConvertKit, because they are serious about connecting with musicians, artists, creatives. Like that's their thing. So I'm really, yeah, Tobias, I'll type it in. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me make sure I get that in. I have the link here for God and Gigs, which is going to be take you to ConvertKit. Grow. I just changed it to Grow My Audience, so I wouldn't get confused. And let me make sure that's showing real quick. There we go. So godandgigs.com/grow my audience. Okay, that's our link that lets them know that we sent you. And yes, there is a little reward for us as well. So I'm not going to hide that we are an affiliate, like I said. So we are happily helping them because I know it's going to help some of you guys to grow your audience, because you're going to connect with the right people for the right reasons. You're not just going to grow to grow. You're going to grow because it makes a difference in your ability to connect and give the people that they are searching for, that they are searching for you, to be able to find you. Okay, so they'll tell you how to build a landing page. It's an easy way. They have templates all over the place that you can put, and then they'll show you how you can put a simple thing that you can give away for free, and then that thing gives them permission to put in their email address, or gives you permission to have their email address. And then you start to build your network, and you start to build your email connections with them. You don't have to wait for social media and play the algorithm war, the algorithm game where it's like, oh, are they going to see it? They're not going to see it. Did I get likes? Did I not get likes? Like that's a tiring game, you guys. Like if you're watching this right now and you're trying to play social media wars and algorithm wars and reels and trying to get people to see you on social, that's tiring. I'm already tired. Just from 5 minutes of trying to get online and try to figure out stuff when it comes to that. So I would encourage every single person that's in my audience, which again is grown for the people that I believe God has called me to reach. So I want you guys to reach the people that you're called to reach. And I think the best way for you to do it is by owning your list, owning the connection. I've talked about this several times, but I cannot talk about it enough, because especially now that everything's going crazy and you never know what's happening week to week, I got to make sure that my people are taken care of and that they know how to connect with their audiences, that you're growing, that you're reaching these milestones. If you want to reach 100 people, 200, 300, 5,000, 10,000, it's possible, but you just got to start from somewhere. And this is where you can start from with this challenge that you will be able to find by going to godandgigs.com/grow my audience. Okay, so that's the challenge that's coming up. Just another quick announcement. I know we're at 2:30. I started a little late, but also we also have a workshop coming up. What do you call it? Masterclass. Can't even think today. We have a masterclass coming up on Sunday at 8:30 Eastern time. If you're watching this before Sunday, you can go ahead and register. Let me put that in for you as well. That one's an easy one. godandgigs.com/ it is, just forgot what it was. 2021 training. That's it. Okay, so godandgigs.com 2021 training. If you want to register for our free masterclass on how to beat the 3 major challenges that are holding you back, the things that are holding you back as a creative. And I bet you know what they are. If you are dealing with imposter syndrome, if you're dealing with feeling like you're inadequate, that you don't have enough stuff, that you don't have enough money, that you don't have people, that you don't have the resources, or you don't have the audience, even if that's one of the things that's holding you back. I want to tell you how to defeat all those things in a 1-day presentation, basically an hour. It's going to really, really nail everything down. You're going to see so clearly how you can grow and move forward so that you're not stuck in your own feelings and own feeling of like you're not able to move into the next creative season of your life. We're going to knock all those walls down. We're going to talk about how you can get your purpose, your confidence, everything about your creative life up to the speed you know it should be running at. And by the way, I've just realized this shirt is cut off, but I want to show off my shirt. Speaking of just an ADD moment, there we go. This is the shirt that was made by my friend in the creative community, Crystal Pearson of Miss Chris Creations. I don't know if you're watching, Crystal, but rocking your shirt again. And this is our byline from the podcast. So you can see that continue to become the creative that you were created to be. So I appreciate Crystal. Every time I'm wearing this shirt, I always feel like I'm so blessed to have people like that who are supporting us. So yeah, make sure you check out godandgigs.com/2021 training if you want to join us on Sunday for our masterclass. And make sure that if you are interested in growing your audience and getting those cash prizes up to $2,000, y'all. I said it, 2,000. Okay, I don't know how much. I don't know how many people you have to get to 2,000, but it's one of the things on there. Like I saw that on the list. So Lord knows I want to participate now because I just realized like, hey, I don't know, am I allowed to be in the contest? I don't know if I'm allowed to be in the contest because I'm also an affiliate, but I would love to get my hands on $22,000 and grow my audience the right way. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this creative checkup. Those of you who are watching later, once again, I understand, can't always come in at 2 o'clock Eastern, but this is a good time at least for what we're doing. So we're going to try to do this every Friday. Say hello. Make sure you have any questions, anything you want to share in our creative community. We'll always be here for you. And, make sure you're chatting it up and sharing your life throughout the week. Because I try to do a Wednesday wisdom, try to do a new member Monday, and then the creative checkups on Friday. So you have Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Something's always going to be happening in the creative community. If you're watching this on Facebook, same thing on YouTube. There's always going to be a video on Friday. There's always going to be a podcast on Thursday. So if you really look at it, there's always something going on throughout the week in God and Gigs. And I just want to make sure that you have all the tools you need to become the best creative that you were created to be. Okay. With that, everyone, thank you so much for watching, listening. If you're watching on replay, let me know that you watched, that you saw it, and that you got some value out of this so I can help you at any time and I can answer questions and I can help you to be inspired, encouraged, and to stay on the path to being a completely confident creative. All right. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for watching today on Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. And hopefully I will see a lot of you on Sunday at 8:30 for our masterclass. God bless. Take care.